we find ourselves inside the new reality that has seemingly appeared out of nowhere, when in actual fact we now understand, when you start understanding the governing actions of the Hadron Collider, CERN, what they're doing at CERN, that these changes to our dimension have happened. They've actually been reworked into the matrix, the simulation of our reality. It is a simulation. Ultimately, it's a simulation. This isn't the true Earth. This is a Earth. Biblically, it talks about how God is creating a new heaven and a new earth. Well, this is an earth that was created, right, by seemingly mathematical means. When you look at the quantum physics of it, and scientists, people are starting to discover that the fabric of space is woven, the fabric of space is written mathematically. There are a multitude, an infinite number of parallel universes, flattened universes, whatever you'd like to call it, Euclidean universes. And these are all beginning to sort of meld slowly as the Hadron Collider brings, because that's what it's doing, is it's moving molecules, it's moving the intricacies, the fabric of the one reality. It's moving the intricacies of this reality, slipping it or sliding it underneath another reality. So we start to see these very small changes, these very seemingly little changes happening around us. I began to notice this many, many years ago when I started to look back at some of what I'd learned in ancient history, some of the things that I'd discovered in the ancient world. When I got back to them, things had either been reworked or revised, or it's almost as if academics had gone in and rewritten a lot of that information. I remember many years ago, when I was a kid, my dad showing me a book on the ancient world and showing me very specific, very, very specific things that related to the ancient world. And those very specific things that he drew, he actually showed me with a pencil. He drew them out there. You see that element of it. Well, on closer examination now, it's almost as if they've been reworked, they've been revised, they've been changed, they've been taken out of place. So it is genuinely fascinating how this new reality has started to sort of arrive at this time when humans are fiddling with quanta. So we're now asking this question when we look around and we see on the maps that Australia is actually closer to Papua New Guinea than it used to be. Australia used to be set quite far south, but yet we've entered a new reality. We're in a new reality where we have to have the acceptance of new figures, new facts. Alaska was always a very small continent, a very small state, and set against the continent of the United States. But when you now look at it, it's very, very interesting that it is, when you now look at it, you see Alaska as the largest state of the United States. And how many states does the United States have? It used to be 50. It's 50 now, but it used to be 51, 52. So that is, you look at South America on the map. I mean, you start looking at these maps and you start to realize South America is now, it used to be almost directly below the United States, almost in the same sort of latitudinal, longitudinal lines related to the United States, but now the South America is being set more towards the east. So how are these things happening? Well, because of this displacement in the very fabric of our reality. There's more to this, of course, and I'll go through the ancient world and all of the Mandela effects that have started to show up in the ancient world. In fact, the more you look at the ancient world, the more you see that it's not quite as I remember it, but definitely as many other people have remembered it. The other thing too is that this idea of the Mandela effect, it's very possible that it's been happening for a very, very long time, further back than we know, but we're only now becoming aware of it. So the ancient world, for instance, there are several things. For instance, look at the way the Nile was laid out. The Nile is slightly different. It's not the way it used to be. You look at Akhenaten, Pharaoh Akhenaten, and I should probably do a whole blog on this a little later, because I can show you visually what I'm trying to get at. But for the time being, you look at the religion and how the sun was worshipped. You look back through the information that we now have on Akhenaten, and things seem to be different. Okay, it's almost as if he didn't leave the Egyptian capital altogether and headed off into the desert. Apparently he remained in Egypt. He remained in Egypt. So it's actually quite fascinating how a lot of these changes have begun to sort of show up, not just in the here and now and in brands and in changing land masses and etc. But the ancient world is being tampered with. It's being revised. It's being almost as if it's being manipulated in some way to suit current agendas. And the reason I say that is because you look at the biblical texts and they've also been revised and changed. There's so many things. The word Easter now appears in the King James Version. It's the Passover, yet it's there. Jesus Christ goes into the temple, and they weren't men of merchandise, they were the traders, right? So things have been written in that are, and these are in old books, old texts. It's almost as if things have purposefully been changed to suit a new agenda. And do some research, you'll see what I mean. It's quite fascinating. I'll do some more on this, and I think it'll be a lot clearer once we add visuals.